Hi, this is Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy. On this episode, we are going to share the things we use and the things we don't use with each other, and the why behind it all. Stay tuned. So, Muffy, the topic of what stuff we use, it sounds kind of mundane, but it's actually kind of fascinating. And it brings about a lot of laughter amongst friends, a lot of skepticism, but it really comes down to what do you use in your daily life? And I think a lot of this is around things we use in our home or care of ourselves. Well, like kind of some of the habits that we've built. It's interesting. You think about habits. Are habits things that you learned from when you were younger and through your own family, or are they habits that you adopt when you're older? And are those different? Do you adopt habits from other people in your home? For example, like what habits have you formed as a result of being married to RK? I know with A and I, a habit I've formed with him, and again, this is around stuff we use, is we don't use tissues. We don't have tissue boxes in the home. We use either toilet paper or paper towels. I know, it's weird, especially because A's mom is all about tissues. Like, my mother-in-law has tissues in every bathroom and bedroom in both of her homes. Her home in Maine and her home in northern New Jersey. So I know when my mother-in-law comes to stay, which is not often, that I need to have tissues because we don't use them. My girls don't use them. I mean, maybe when they grow up, they'll start using tissues, but it's just something that we do or don't do or don't use. We also, we do use a lot of paper towels. I know that's not necessarily good for the environment, but Ace family is a big paper towel user, like his brothers as well, I know, in their own homes. So we use a lot of paper towels. I could use cloths, and I do, but it's like in some ways it's more of a pain to clean them and wash them. I don't know. We like our paper towels. So another thing we use are dishcloths to pull out a pan from the oven. We don't use an oven mitt. I mean, maybe this episode should be called What We Use and What We Don't Use, right? But yeah, we don't use oven mitts. Every time I have friends come over, which is not often, but when they do, they're like, "Where's your oven mitt?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we use dish towels." And I get the strangest look. I mean, one time a friend of mine actually bought me a oven mitt and I never used it. And so I gave it away. I know you gave me an oven mitt that you, I think, got as like a bonus gift from a museum, I think. And I do have it. We have yet to use it, but I do like it just because of what it symbolizes and it's classy. So I'm keeping it for now. If I don't end up using it over time, which is probably likely, maybe I'll give it away to somebody that I want to give a nice little gift to. So yeah, I don't, A only uses dish towels, and that's another habit that I've formed as a result of his behavior, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, we have them. Well, we have one oven mitt. I know, it's weird. I remember a while ago, this is pre-COVID, I had like a little social, like a woman's night out. It was kind of like a fundraiser for the elementary school. And I had a bunch of moms come over and they were helping out with getting food and stuff. And they were like, "Oh, where's your oven mitt?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we don't have them." I'm sure they thought I was like the strangest mom ever. I don't know, but these are not people I knew well. So I'm sure they were like scratching their heads. Yeah. Another thing that A and I do not use is we don't use a tub sheet on our bed. We only use a fitted sheet and then a comforter and blankets. It all started because he always gets hot and his feet would get really hot and he needed to have his feet out of the covers at the end. So having a top sheet is counterproductive. I mean, you can have one, but it ends up getting kind of scrunched and not really used. It's a real problem when we go to Maine because Again, my mother-in-law uses a top sheet, like multiple. She has a fitted sheet, a top sheet, she has a little blanket, and then she has a comforter. Interestingly, in the summer, she never has a comforter, and that's what A and I typically use, even in the summer. So what we end up having to do is I usually just like, I mean, I leave everything on the bed, but I get the comforter from the closet. And what I do is I go around the bed and I just undo everything that's been tucked in. I do that at hotels too. It's so funny. So we just don't use them. We also like really soft, like flannel fitted sheets. I have a friend of mine was like, "You sleep on that in the summer?" We also sleep in with an air conditioner and it's really cold and we always have a fan blowing. A cannot sleep in a room without some kind of like white noise. So we do always have a fan. Now I can't sleep in a room without white noise. I wonder what habits I've given him now that I keep talking about all the habits that I've formed as a result of A. But I guess it's like, it's like symmetry. I mean, it's just like, I don't know if that's the right word, but, we just have fallen into this routine and these patterns of what we use and what we don't use. So I never really thought about that before, but it is very true. Another thing that we do is we always have to have water, especially at bedtime. I remember going to a hotel with a friend after I'd been dating A for a while, where he had trained me just to have water. And I'm kind of a liquids girl in general. I mean, I always like growing up, I drank a lot of liquids like water, juice, what have you. And even today, I'm kind of like a liquids girl. I like my water. I like my coffee. I like my grapefruit juice. I like my wine. So I consume a lot of liquid. But anyways, I remember going on a trip with a girlfriend and we didn't have water in the room, or like we had tiny little bottles. And I remember waking up and being so thirsty. I was like, "Oh my God, I need water." And so I had to, go out that day and make sure that I had a big bottle of water. Now, he carries a 1 gallon of water around with him at all times. I mean, the guy is always dehydrated. I don't really understand, but he is. I can drink a little bit of water and be fine. I'm not dehydrated, but I just like to drink my water. I especially like to put lemon juice in my water now. Just makes it like a little bit nicer, you know? I also use the dishwasher. Now, I know that there's an age-old debate about like people that use the dishwasher versus hand washing. I will use the dishwasher. I will hand wash things. This is where A and I depart because A will not use the dishwasher. He's afraid of it. I know, isn't that funny that you're afraid of a dishwasher? Like, again, another head scratcher. But it all stems back to when he was selling his first condo. I don't know if he'd ever used his dishwasher. I wasn't living with him 100% then. We were dating seriously, but I was living with him at the end. Not that that matters, but so I can't remember if he used it, but we went to do a walkthrough with the person who was purchasing his condo, and they ran the dishwasher just to see if it was working. And there was a huge spill, like water went all over the place. And so my theory is that he never really used it. And maybe I didn't either, because at the time, the two of us, I mean, you don't generate as many dishes just with two people, or at least if I think about it now, like we were just very simple when it came to cooking and eating and we just didn't generate a lot of dishes and we were away all day. Whereas now, I mean, with a family of four, the sink can fill up in 5 seconds flat, right? But anyways, so we had to replace the dishwasher. Well, it became this huge contentious thing with the new owner. He wanted this like grandiose dishwasher. And oh my God, I remember we were in like the lawyer's conference room signing the papers, but our lawyers were like debating back and forth about this ridiculous dishwasher. And like A and I were like, "Oh, we'd rather just be flies on the wall because this is so uncomfortable." I mean, at the at the end of it all, our lawyer was like, "Look, my clients will replace the dishwasher, but it's got to be of similar value and like it can't be this like deluxe version. Like that's just not we're not legally obligated." So My advertisement to all you listeners and Muffy is always run your dishwasher. Use it because if you don't use it, you may end up breaking it. So, anyways, I'm not, this is not official, but just my experience. So I do use the dishwasher and I use it too because we do have so many dishes with four of us. And it's a time suck to wash dishes by hand if it's not just a few. Now, I mean, obviously, there are some things we don't put in the dishwasher, so we will hand wash those. But A will hand wash everything, and he always complains. He's like, oh my God, there's so many dishes. So that's why he doesn't want anybody to cook because then he feels obligated to clean up the dishes by hand, but he doesn't have to. That's why he doesn't want anybody eating eggs anymore because it's so hard to clean the residual from the pans after you've cooked eggs. That's ridiculous, right? It's not because egg prices have gotten higher. He's just using that as an excuse. I mean, this is the ridiculousness that goes on in our family. I'd be curious to know what other ridiculous things go on in other people's families, because I'm sure they're abundant, for sure. That's why this topic is kind of like super fascinating, right? Uh, what other things? I don't use body wash. I use body soap. I prefer body soap. I don't know. There's something about the body wash. It just doesn't do it for me. But I have to have body soap. I don't think A uses body soap. I think he just feels like if he uses shampoo, then he's cleaning his body. I don't know. I don't get that. To that point, I also use Q-tips. I'm a huge user of Q-tips. I use them every day, and my ears are perfectly clean. I know that, like, there's some things that have been said out there about Q-tips will damage the eardrum. I've never found that. I do it. I will clean my girl's ears with Q-tips a little bit. And A, he doesn't believe in Q-tips. So he does these things called splungies, where he puts in, like, I think it's hydrochloric acid. I don't know what it is. I'm probably mispronouncing, but um, he pours his stuff in his ear and then he lies down and he lets it fizzle, and then all the stuff comes out of his ear. It's a splungy. That's what he does to clean his ears. And he doesn't do it all the time. But my theory is that's why his ears get all clogged up because he doesn't use Q-tips regularly. He refuses. So it's hysterical, right? I also I don't use a lot of hair product. I don't like the feeling. Like when you go to the hairdressers and they blow out your hair and everything, they often put all this other stuff in it. I feel like it weighs me down. I don't like the feeling, but I do have to use a hair dryer because when I don't use a hair dryer, my hair feels all itchy and it gets kind of scraggly and I don't like that feeling. So I have to use a hair dryer. It's funny. The other day, I took a shower and then I had to run out and pick up tea. And I came home and everybody was kind of like, I don't know, T was in a bad mood. And I was just like, oh, whatever. And my younger daughter, Jay, was like, what's going on? And why are you guys so mad? And I was like, oh, I'm not mad. I'm like, but there's something going on with T. So I'm like, well, I got to go up and dry my hair. And she's like, oh, I wondered why your hair looked like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, your hair looks like that when you're frustrated. What is that? But as you know, when it comes to beauty products, I don't use a lot of makeup. I do like perfume, which I put on every day. I do wear lipstick and I do put on earrings. I don't put on mascara when I'm just home and not really going out. When I went to work physically at another place, I always put on mascara. But again, since COVID, I've used it a lot less. I do like it. I don't like removing it. So, and then when you don't have mascara on, like you can itch your eyes better. And I'm always itching my eyes for some reason. I mean, they're fine. I don't know. I have a lot of sleepy seeds or something. Maybe that's too much information, right? So it's funny the reason why we use certain things or why we don't, like the habits that we form. I'd be curious to know, Muffy, what you use and what you don't use.
Hey Habs, it's Muffy. So we're talking about habits and things we use every day. Gosh, I learned so much about you. So interesting. Habits. And what do I use every day? Gosh. Well, let's see. I'm going to take you through my day. So I wake up and we wake up at 5 in the morning because RK has to start work at 6 in the morning because that is, he works still for a West Coast practice. So that's 3 a.m. And so he does overnight work and then he's off by noon Pacific time, which is 3 p.m. out here. So he can go off and do his comedy. So we don't really, because he's going off and doing comedy, we don't really have a dinner hour together. So we have a breakfast hour together. But my day begins with what I would call a morning routine where I am unloading the dishwasher. Yes, yes, I do use a dishwasher, and so does RK. And you are very right to give that tip about running your dishwasher. Otherwise, it could just explode. But I love the dishwasher and I run it at least once a day. When I'm changing over decor and maybe trying to get things cleaned up like candlestick holders and stuff, I'll run it twice. So I do very much enjoy the dishwasher, and that's one of the first things I do in the morning is unload it. Then from there, I fill my tea kettle. I have a Smeg tea kettle, and I don't use a tea kettle on the stove. First off, I don't have a gas or convection stove any longer. I just have electric because we rent, and it's always electric stoves that are in apartments. So I do not use an electric stove to heat my water. I use a tea kettle, an electric tea kettle. And I like my Smeg because I like the design. And so I fill that up, turn that on. So that's another thing I'm doing. Then I fill the water bowl for the pets. And, I feed them too. So I'm also, getting the dog bowls out and all of things like that. So, I'm using the dishwasher, I'm using a tea kettle. I'm using things like Screen Mom to clean off my computer and my phone and my reading glasses so that I can have clean screens as I start my workday or my day in general. I go back, I have a hamper. We use a hamper. I don't know if RK used a hamper before me, but we put our clothes into a hamper and I unload that and put it right into the washing machine. And I do a load of clothes every day. Now, the clothes I'm doing are like towels and pajamas and workout clothes. And, RK definitely puts more stuff in there than I would, but we do run a load. And I'm not really great at separating loads out. So it's just like one load, unless it's Wednesday. And that's when I actually do all the towels. And I do a load of towels. And we do a load of sheets. And then we do a load of the pajamas and all that stuff. So, but I'm right in there with my Tide cup, free and clear. And my stuff's going in there. It will not get turned on until a little bit later after I'm done with my shower and working out. So we have a washer and we do dryer. One thing about RK is he never had a dryer growing up because he lived in the tropics and in Australia. And apparently they just hang their stuff to dry. So he was all like, when we got together, like, a dryer? We're going to like dry our clothes? That's going to wreck our clothes. I'm like, I don't care if they're wrecked. I'm from a 4-season climate. We have to dry our clothes. So from there, I make the bed. I do have a fitted sheet, a top sheet, a thin blanket, and then we have a comforter, which is basically a duvet with a cover over it. And I do have a bunch of pillows. We're on a king bed. We're using king size mattresses. We weren't always on a king bed. We started out, I think we might have started out with like a full mattress. Then we went to a queen mattress, and now we use a king, not California king, but a king mattress. And yeah, we have spring, summer duvet, and we have fall, winter duvet. So I'm getting ready to change it out. So I make the bed. RK says he would definitely know how to make the bed and happy to make the bed, but I've seen RK make the bed and it's not to my liking. So instead of trying to teach him how to get it to my liking, I just make the bed in the morning. So that's kind of the morning routine. Yes, we use pot holders, for sure. I don't have a ton of them, but I do use them. I also use dish towels. I have some dish towels that I put out just for decoration. Right now I have some Luck of the Irish ones that I got at your favorite grocery store. They're out, so we don't use those, but then I have ones that are in the drawer that we use. And occasionally we use paper towels. So we have a paper towel holder and paper towels, but we don't go through them that fast. I definitely use tissues. They're in every room, meaning bathroom. And I'm very particular. I have a box. I use puffs, not plus, but just puffs. And they're the box, like a rectangular box that goes in, and I put the a metallic pillow, I mean, a metallic tissue box cover over the box. So that is, how I do my tissues, and I do use tissues, and I probably go through in my own bathroom a box of tissues every week, which has 56 tissues in it. So that's how many tissues I'm going through. So yes, we do use tissues. So I'm thinking about other things that I use in a given day. Well, most recently, I have been using a wine opener, an electric one, because I have real issue with the gadget of opening a wine bottle, like just, like a corkscrew, right? Like to open the corkscrew. I can't do it. The cork will always go into the wine. It's awful. RK got me an electric one. So you have the little thing that, breaks the seal. And then you have this electric cork thing that goes in and then just pulls it out. And I'm getting better and better at it. At first, it was still like really difficult for me. But now I'm getting better and better and better at that opening wine. He still doesn't use it, but I use it. And it's just great. So that has been a new gadget that I'm really enjoying. I also got us a knife sharpener because our knives get really dull. We don't cook that much because he's always pursuing comedy and I don't really cook. But they do still get dull. So I bought a automatic knife sharpener and he really enjoys that. And now we have sharp knives because I think he does it once or twice a year. That's something we use, not every day, but on the regular. And I'm not sure. I think he would have just used like a manual one, but I went out and invested in like an automatic knife sharpener. And I think he really appreciates it. I also was the one who got him a coffee machine that's like more than Nespresso. It's like, it was called Terra Cafe because I noticed he likes to have cappuccino, he likes espresso, he likes all different types of coffees. And he was with an espresso machine. It just seemed like after 2 years, it got real loud and kind of broke down. And they're kind of expensive to replace every 2 years. And they're limited in what type of coffee they make. So I invested and got him, kind of a petite coffee machine. It's not a huge one, but it's good size for our small kitchen at that time. It was a good size. And it made all the different coffees. He was very upset. He was like, I just need a regular coffee machine and my Nespresso was fine. This is too expensive, but we've had that coffee machine for 4 years. He's had it because I don't drink coffee. And oh my God, Habs, does he love it? He just, he makes every type of coffee, the espresso, the cappuccino, regular coffee, he makes me hot chocolate. And I mean, these prices at Starbucks and stuff are going up so much. I mean, I think he says an espresso or a cappuccino is like $7 now. We calculated it because he doesn't really buy coffee out anymore. It's like for the amount that I spent for that coffee machine over the 4 years of consistent use, it was $15 a month that he spent on coffee. Talk about a good deal. So he sold on a coffee machine like that does all these different drinks, the value of it. You might be fronting money up front, but you're going to get great value for that. So I think that was definitely me. He was resistant at first, but now, like I said, that's something he uses every day for sure. And of course, I still have my tea kettle because as for me, make mine tea. So then, yeah, I mean, I don't even want to go. My makeup routine, but I don't want to go in the shower. It was funny. I do bar soap and shower gel. I like both. So when I go in the shower, I use a bar soap that I like to just wash myself. Then I go ahead and use a shampoo and then I condition, but I also have to do a deep conditioner because my hair has gotten a lot drier as I've gotten older. So there's 2 conditioners. Then that all sits on my hair and then I shave. And I mean, every time I take a shower, which is every day, I shave. So my legs, my pits, all of it, right? So I'm doing that with my little daisy razor and I do have shaving cream. And then after that, I will use a shower gel and just get all that shaving gel and all that stuff off of me and just slough it all off. And I rinse off my hair and I'm good to go. On Saturdays, I exfoliate. So I use this kind of, what are they called? It's called Pool Boy is the name of it. Baja Spa. I'll shout them out. I love it. Baja, Baja Zen or Baja Spa. And they have these really great salt scrubs. And on Saturday mornings, I always salt scrub myself. And then I do the shower gel. And I also exfoliate my face as well with an exfoliator. So Saturdays are my day to go salty scrubby on me. I use that. And then, oh my God, then it's just, yes, I use hair product. I use the mousse and I use a hair milk, which is like no more tears. To get my hairbrush through my hair, I use a humidity blocking oil so I don't have frizz. I use hairspray. God, it's a lot of maintenance on the hair. Well, I do use product. I do use a hair dryer every day. I don't like it when my hair goes just naturally dry. I forget it. It's my hair so thick, it'll take the whole day to go dry. So I have to blow it dry. And then I'll use a flat iron to just try and take any sort of frizz out of it. So, that's getting ready in the morning. Those are all the things I'm doing and things I'm using. At some point, I put the washing machine on. Some point, I move it to the dryer, take it out, fold the clothes with the laundry basket, of course, right? I have to use the laundry basket. These are the things I use every day. It is a fascinating subject because you're right. It does go into what are your habits? What are your routines that you're using this stuff? And also, yeah, did they come from your childhood or did they come from the family you create? I definitely know the dryer for RK is from the family he created. The coffee machine, he always had a coffee machine, but this fancy coffee machine he never had. So that was definitely my influence. Yeah, but certain things are like really, really handy. Oh, like I was telling you, I think a while ago, we both like really hot drinks, like our coffee and tea to be hot. And he got me a warmer. So it's electric. You plug it in, and if you put your coffee mug on that or the mug on it, it'll keep your coffee or tea hot rather than getting cold. I mean, who knew that that even existed? He got that for me for one Christmas. I think that was just such a nifty gift, and it really does work. So I think you and your partner introduce each other to new things too, and you find a way of being. And like with the dishwasher, he always puts it on at night, because he's up later than me. I have a little pod in. All he has to do is push it on, make it as easy as possible. But, I want that dishwasher running. Well, yeah, I do kind of put the house to bed at night. I make sure the counters are wiped down and the pod's in the dishwasher, and our dog has fresh water and the TV has been turned off and the night lights are on, but a lot of the lights are off, and just putting the house to bed. I do that every day. Making sure the laundry's folded and put away. I mean, at least my stuff's put away. His stuff I put in a pile and he puts it away. But we use washcloths. We have like black washcloths beside our sinks so we can wipe down the sink. I think that is definitely my influence on RK. I don't think he used to do that. I think the water just splashed everywhere and he didn't care. I care. So we have these black washcloths and we wipe down the counter around our sinks, and we both do that. I think that's a habit we have formed together. So yeah, I think you're right. They intertwine. When I go through my day, I think, yeah, there's a lot of products I use that are tied up with habits, for sure. I'm wondering, a question on my mind for you, Habs, is since you have two girls, is what habits do you think your girls have picked up on from you and that you observe them also doing as a part of their routine? And what are things that they may be doing that are not any part of anyone's routine and it's just their own?
Hey, Muffy. Yeah, I do realize like your work schedules with and how you don't really have a dinner hour. So your dinner hour is at 5 or 6 in the morning. I think that's wonderful. Like it suits you both. You're able to connect and then go about your day. I am the opposite. I mean, we connect, but it's very quick. Everybody is very quick in the morning and then we're out the door and we normally connect closer to, I don't know, 5 or 6, um, and sometimes throughout the evening. I was curious if never had a hamper, what did he do with all his clothes? Just curious about that. Never thought about somebody not having a hamper. The screen mom. I am curious about that as well. You said that you clean your screens and everything every day. Wow. I do not do that at all. That's not good, I think. I know so. In fact, my computer screen is awful and there's little crumbs in the corner and it's dying. It really is dying, and I fear having to get a new one soon because it's a lot of money out. And so on days like this where it is beautiful and I'm sitting outside, I can't really use my computer because it just dies. It has to be plugged in, and even then, it's super finicky. Oh boy. Thanks for sharing that you and RK do a load of laundry every day. We do not. Everybody does their own laundry separately, except for Jay. She still needs help, but T is pretty much on her own and does it when she needs it, and so very self-sufficient. Early on in our marriage, A and I used to do our laundry together, but I put a lot of things out on a drying rack. There are a lot of clothes that I do not put in the dryer for fear of shrinking. So A really didn't understand that when we were first married. I remember one time I used to have the favorite pair of jean overalls, and they were actually kid size. I got them from the Gap, yes, because I'm small. I'm short. Petite-ish, and he put them in the dryer, and they shrunk, like so much so that it looked like I was wearing floods. Remember that term, floods? Nobody uses that today, I don't think, but so I had to get rid of them. I was so upset. So ever since then, we do not do each other's laundry. And it's so annoying sometimes when I'm in Maine and I do laundry. My mother-in-law will, if I'm not on top of it, she'll put my laundry in the dryer. And even though I've expressed like, oh, there are a lot of things I like to put out on the drying rack, she's like, well, I'm just putting it on low. It's fine. And I'm like, no, I don't want it in the dryer. So I have to be like very diligent when I'm doing laundry in Maine for fear of her putting stuff in the dryer. Well, that's another topic. The laundry, people doing other people's laundry. I'm just going off on a small tangent, but I remember one time I had friends up and I was doing laundry, and the husband took my wet laundry and put it in the dryer. Now, there was underwear in there. Like, who does that? Like, I'm not going to touch somebody else's laundry. I'm very specific about that. So I just had to say. Speaking of liars, yeah, I'm curious what you think about drying laundry out like on a clothesline. I know that when we used to live on the vineyard, we didn't have a dryer. So we only had a washer. So we had to put everything out on the clothesline. And it was nice because it was always so fresh. Now, granted, it was summer. So here's the question I really have. Like, do you think that people should put laundry out on the line in the middle of the winter? I mean, it's not a should, but it's a curious thing because I have two neighbors near me that both do laundry all year round. I mean, of course they do laundry all year round, but they put their laundry out on the line, even in the dead of winter. I don't understand that. I don't understand the concept of how the clothes actually get dry. Like, how could they get dry? I just don't get it. So that's a puzzle for me. I can understand RK living in the tropics and it's always warm, so of course he can put the clothes out on a drying line. But in the winter when it's like sub 20, I don't know. I completely agree. There are some things that like we just need to do ourselves because we know we want it a certain way and it's just better that we do it. So I completely understand you wanting to make the bed the way that you want, and that RK is just not gonna ever make it the way that you want. And that's perfectly fine. I have the same issue with putting away groceries. When A will go and do a big grocery shopping, he'll come back and he'll put stuff all over the place, or he'll just display it on the counter. So it's just everything's displayed. So now I just go, no, just leave the groceries here. I will put them away because I will organize them versus he. And so it just really bugs me. It's funny. Along with you, I know another person, T, not my daughter, who doesn't really know how to use a wine opener. I find that fascinating. Wherever I go, I often find there's a fair amount of people that don't know how to use a wine opener. That is a skill I do very well. I'm not sure I should be proud of that, but I do. We also have a knife sharpener, but it's a manual sharpener. Sorry, there's like a lot of kids out here. It's such a beautiful day that I couldn't resist being outside. And I think the background noises are lovely. It's just a sign of spring on the way. Anyways, back to the knife sharpener. We also have a manual one. I never went out and bought anything else, or I don't take them anywhere. I don't know. I probably should. They're probably pretty dull. It's not something I really keep up with. That's interesting that you use both bar soap and body wash. Yeah, yeah, like I said, I don't like body wash. It doesn't really do anything for me. I also shave every day or every time I take a shower, but I don't use shaving cream. I used to, but every time I did, it really didn't work. You know what does work is actually a lot of times I'll just use the bar soap and put it and go over my legs again. And then for some reason that works better. It's not as rough on the skin and I just have a better outcome. So I don't know. Lifeguard habits are weird, aren't they? In some ways. I'm not saying that yours are, but I know mine are for sure. Let's see. Habits the girls have picked up from us are things they use or don't use. Well, they also don't use tissues and they mostly use paper towels. J is a little bit of a pig pen, just like A is, meaning she just has stuff that she leaves everywhere. So there's like this little plume of dust, or dirt in the air. It's pretty funny because I remember when A used to come down to DC and stay with us, like everybody called him Pigpen because he'd come into the house and sit down in the living room and just put his bag of clothes and whatever else. Yes, like a paper bag, not like a travel bag. He would use a brown paper bag to carry all of his stuff. And he'd have like leftover food. And it just would be like, just imagine like Pigpen from the Peanuts. That's what he was. I mean, he's gotten better, but he still has his like stuff. I mean, I will say this, we all kind of leave our clothes on the ground and don't do a very good job at putting them away. We have periods where we just clean it up and put everything away. I would have to say that T has kind of started her own habit of putting her stuff away. She keeps her room pretty neat and tidy. It's impressive, to be sure. The girls also don't use a lot of bedding other than a fitted sheet or a comforter and or a blanket, depending on whether it's warmer or colder out. So that is a habit something that they don't use that they learned from us. I don't know, maybe they'll change as they get older. Who knows? They also don't really know how to make a bed, but you don't really need to know how to make a bed because if it's just a comforter, One thing the girls have definitely formed their own habit or something that they don't use or consume, they won't eat anything that's more than like a day or 2 days old. I mean, seriously, I don't know how many times Jay will say to me, like, oh, is this good? And I'll be like, I just bought it yesterday, or I just made it yesterday. They just have this affinity for not eating things that are like completely new or fresh, which is so funny. I mean, it kind of formed as a pattern early on because T was kind of a little bit OCD and afraid of germs and stuff like that and things going bad that would make her sick. And so I get that, but it's gone a little bit too far. I don't know. I think we both wear a lot of leggings and pants. And when I was younger growing up, I wore mostly dresses. And then I turned over a new leaf and started just wearing pants all the time. And now I'm back to wearing dresses. But that is something, their own style of what they wear, what they don't, is very different than mine. And of course, very different than Andrew's, who doesn't really have a style other than his standard uniform of khaki pants and button down shirts or t shirts. Isn't that funny? This is all very funny to me. Muffy, I guess I'm going to take one for the team. And listeners, you get a double dose of Habs this week. Yes, that's me. Because Muffy is out with laryngitis. Ugh, I hope you feel better, Muffy. I hope you get your voice back soon. And I miss you. I just want to say that. But I can finish this one up, no probs. I will take one step back or to the side, however you want to say it. This episode has been tough. It's been a challenge to record it this week. Just, I don't know why, but a lot of little hurdles and challenges along the way. I tried to record one of my responses to you, Muffy, and I decided it was a beautiful day. I was going to sit outside in a public area, but not near people. And I mean, karma is just a beep, but I could not get away from people. I kept moving, and every time I did, people would follow me. I literally ended up in my car finishing off the last part of what I wanted to say. But when I listened back, it was very choppy and not very fluid. And I don't know. So anyways, it was just a challenge. And then, I am finishing up the final part of this episode. I don't know. I'm just having a really tough time trying to wrap it up. I have to say, overall, this has been so much fun. I mean, actually, it's been a ton of fun. Surprisingly so for me. I wasn't sure going into it what it would be like and what I would think about it, but I really enjoy it. And so, yeah, I mean, people always say, do what you love, and I'm really loving this. So it's kind of a bummer that this week has been especially difficult to record, but we're moving on and upwards. We're almost at our 25th episode, and I know Muffy and I are very committed to producing one podcast a week every Tuesday, and we're staying to that, and our dedication is solid and strong. And so even when there are bumps in the road, we're moving on. So yes, I will continue and wrap up here with the stuff we use and how it defines our habits. Just responding back to you, Mussy, I cannot imagine how RK leaving laundry on the floor would be acceptable to you. I can't even imagine a world where that happens. And I mean that as the best compliment, because I know that you would have no time and space for that kind of behavior whatsoever. So I'm glad that he found a laundry basket because of you. I just had to say. Other people's laundry? Thank you, Muffy. I've had this conversation, and a lot of people are like, well, yeah, it's of course you just put other people's laundry in the dryer and whatnot. And no, I don't think that's normal. I think that's proprietary stuff, right? And to this day, I'm so embarrassed that my friend's hubby found my underwear, which wasn't in the best of shape, might I add. I need to be doing a little bit better there, but it's been hard. I've been trying to find new underwear, and I just don't like what I found. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but it's tough to find good underwear, and I'm particularly picky when it comes to underwear. So, and yes, I do wear underwear. I know some people don't, but I can't really get away with that. Anyways, I know, going down the rabbit hole, but I don't get it. And so I really appreciate that you concur that you should not touch other people's laundry. And laundry out in the cold weather, right? Who does that? I don't understand. They bring how do they actually dry? And so do they just bring them in wet or cold? And yeah, don't they get sick? I mean, I don't get it. It always perplexes me, and I want to ask them sometime, but it's not really appropriate. The two homes in my neighborhood, I know the owners, but I don't know them really well. So it's not just a question, you would ask in passing, hey, does your laundry in the winter dry outside? I've seen you put it up. I was just curious. I don't know. I suppose it would be a good dinner discussion topic. But yeah, I love it in the summer. I mean, I don't do it in my own home, but I did love it when my mom would put it up on the vineyard. It just always did smell especially fresh. In particular, like the bed sheets and the towels, they just like that fresh air smell brings back memories. But thank you for agreeing with me or validating my own thoughts that I'm not totally crazy. Another thing that I use is I use like a scrub brush, like, those yellow pads with the green kind of scrubbing. It's like the Brillo. It's not Brillo pads, but it's like a little sponge, and then it has a little part that like gets off like the tough stuff. I'm forgetting what the name of it is right now, but I love to use that because I find that works really well for getting in like especially tough crevices, like of a cup or some other dish or something that might have like a particularly tricky spot. I also just think it cleans a lot better, and the part that really gets off the tough stuff works really well. I mean, you really have to put some elbow grease into it, but my husband likes to use this scrub brush, and I mean, I don't really think it's very good. I don't think it's thorough. So we kind of have a little tug of war with those two items when it comes to cleaning our dishes or hand washing them, which, as you know, I mostly use the dishwasher. I mean, I do find the brush useful. There's like a hard part on the end. I do find it useful for like scraping stuff, but otherwise, if I don't have my little Scotch Brite sponge, that's what it's called, then I'm not happy. It's interesting. And then I know my mother-in-law uses these like reusable, like they're kind of like very thin washcloths, but they're not washcloths. They're like made out of some material, but I think that's especially gross. Sorry, mother-in-law, but it's just like the bacteria and the stuff that gets on there. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. It is funny. I had these little scrub brushes for our dog's water bowl when I had that little fountain, and I would leave them to dry when I was done using them by the sink. And I guess he must have thought they were for our dishes. He would be so upset if he knew that they were for our dog's water dish and not our own dishes. I know it would gross him out. Um, just thinking about the stuff we use and our habits. Yeah, I talked about my girls and how they don't like things that are old, like a day old or 2 days old. Jay always asks me, like, oh, is the milk good? And so I end up just going, well, I don't know. So I taste it, right? Luckily, I haven't drank too much bad milk, but, I do find it kind of funny because, like, he or she's asking me if the milk is bad. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll have to taste it. Like, you could do that, but no, I guess that's what moms do, right? But it is so funny about like how they won't eat things if they're more than a couple of days old, or they definitely question it, which brings me to a very funny story. Back in the day, my mom, I mean, she was definitely very thrifty when it came to saving food, keeping food, freezing it. I've never been very successful at freezing food and then reusing it. I end up throwing it out, to be honest. I know people say it's easy, but I've not been able to like bring it back to life well and so many other things. I would love to know how to do that because that is not a skill I have. But anyways, my mom, like, one time she had this bowl of fruit up on the vineyard, and A was like, Mrs. H, you have a rotten peach. And my mom, being the stubborn person that she is, it's like, no, that's not a rotten peach. It's just perfectly fine. And like, you had to be there to kind of see the whole thing play out. But my husband kept just teasing my mom about this peach. And she was like, finally, she was like, see, it's just fine. And she took a big old bite out of the rotten peach. And my God, it's so funny how our stuff defines us and the habits that our stuff creates and that we stick to adamantly. So, all of these things, I think, I'm not sure that I could be like convinced to go to the other side. And, use a scrub brush or vice versa. So, it's crazy to think about that, but it's true. I'm not sure. Our habits, we get stuck on them and they're hard to break, just like the stuff that we use. I'm not sure. Knowing my husband A, who loves to drink water that's store-bought and is really averse to drinking filtered water or water from a Brita, I don't think so. I mean, in many ways, we're stuck. We're stuck with our things and our habits. But I challenge our listeners to convince me otherwise. On that note, that's a wrap on our stuff and how it defines our habits. It's hard to get rid of your stuff, and your habits. I guess you always can. But do you really want to? Thanks for listening to Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy talk about the stuff we use and how it defines our habits and the habits of others, sometimes. For more, follow us on Instagram at Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy. Until next time, when we talk about charting a career. Now there's a conundrum.